Morning. Sprinklers are going. Morning.
Hello.
So earlier in this video, or earlier in my ride this morning, I was talking about my issue with a flat tire and running off to the local bike shop to get what I hope would be some tubes, bike tubes that won't give me any more trouble. At least I'm thinking that my problem with my flats is a result of some defective tubes that I bought online. But anyway, I've also been talking about buying a new bike. I got back into road biking about 10 months ago. And I bought a very inexpensive entry-level bike online from Bikes Direct. And I have really nothing else to compare it to from a riding experience standpoint, but the bike has been very good to me. Once I learned a few things about making adjustments and doing maintenance, plus upgrading a couple components. I replaced the wheel set, and I replaced the crank set to effectively get a compact gear set. This bike performs well. It's an all aluminum bike. It weighs 23 pounds, which I'm thinking it's not a heavy bike, let me put it that way. You know, it's not an 18-pound bike, obviously, or a 15-pound bike. But then again, it's not carbon fiber, and it didn't cost me $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000 for that matter. But anyway, I've been thinking about a new bike, and more than anything, I guess the reason I was thinking about a new bike is being a little influenced by the people on Strava and how far they ride and their average speed. And I've been trying to strive to ride faster and ride a little bit farther myself. And prior to getting the clipless pedals, I don't know, I guess my average speed was just a shade over 15, probably high 14s on average. But with the introduction of my pedals, I am now getting high 15, 60 mile per hour, average mile per hour speed. So I am getting faster. And it's not because of the bike, but it's because of me and some equipment I put on the bike. But anyway, the people I follow on Strava, who I greatly admire for their performances, I've been kind of trying to look under the covers and figure out what's their secret. How can they go so fast? How can they ride so far? And all of them have said basically the same kind of thing. A lot of it has to do with their bike. Which I believe. And so that led to the question, well, what kind of bike are you guys riding? So in general, you're talking Specialized or Trek carbon fiber bikes. Models I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think, if I remember correctly, a few models that were told to me. I did kind of do a little research on them. And from a price standpoint, you're talking, yeah, $2,500, I guess. So anyway, that started me thinking more and more about getting a new bike, getting a bike a more serious bike, something that isn't so entry level. And my first thought was, well, you know, I bought this online, I'll buy another one online. And I got a video that kind of goes through all the minutia of my thought processing on that, which I ultimately came away with the decision, if you're gonna spend more than $1,200, $1,500 for a bike, you're probably smarter going to a local bike shop and at a minimum be able to get on the bike and take it out for a ride. So I guess what I'm getting at is when I was at my local bike shop, I decided, you know what, can I try riding a Trek or a Specialized or both or whatever? And they said sure, and I did. So I took out a Trek, I think it's a Trek Emonda, if I'm saying that correctly, an S4, which is I guess the bottom line entry level all carbon fiber bike. Trek tires, Trek wheels. Shimano group set. So yeah, I took the bike out for a spin in the parking lot. Parking lot's dead smooth. So the bike felt pretty good in the parking lot. So I said, can I take it out on the road a little bit? And they said, sure, go ahead. Well, came back to the shop, and they said, what do you think? And I said, let me think about it. And I walked out, and I can't tell you how disappointed I was. I really felt like, from what I was told by other people and what I read about it, and that the carbon fiber technology, I guess I expected too much. I expected the bike to be extremely comfortable on the road, and what I found is it was no different than my bike. I could feel every bump and every crack in the blacktop and the tarmac. I expected a much smoother, less vibration, less jarring ride. And I would think after, if I had ridden the bike for maybe 25 or 30 miles, I might have noticed the difference over time, but when I first got on the bike, not impressed. So I don't think I'm going to be getting a new bike. The other thing that I did find out was that in terms of getting a smoother, less jarring ride on a bike, you could also do what I've already done. Go to a bigger tire, run them slightly softer. And I found one or two Global Cycling Network YouTube videos that make that point perfectly. The difference between a carbon fiber bike and an aluminum bike is almost nil if you take into consideration just making a slight adjustment to your tire size on the aluminum bike. So for the recreational rider like myself, what do I want to do? Well, because I've already put better wheels on this bike, not great wheels, but better wheels, and I've been very, very happy with them. I can tell the difference in the performance when I did make the upgrade. And I did change out the crank so that instead of having 50-40 gears on the chain rings, I got 50-34. And because I've picked up the skills to know how to adjust my index properly, this bike shifts beautifully, quietly, smoothly. It rolls pretty decently. And because now that I'm running 28 wide gator skins on it at just around 100 psi, I probably could go down to 95. The bike rides as comfortably, if not more so, than that entry-level Trek bike, full carbon. Now, like I said, last night, I washed my bike, cleaned my bike, the drivetrain and everything, got it all nice and lubed up again. I do feel a little difference in the bike, maybe if it's even psychologically, but it does give you a boost. And I feel like, well, I mean, I'm riding over bumps and things like that. You guys listen to my video, you hear that, well, you don't hear the bike. You don't hear it rattling and clanking and bouncing around. The only thing you hear me shifting is when I'm clicking the shifters. You don't hear the chain in the background. You don't hear the derailleurs. Even when I shift from the low, small chain ring to the big one or vice versa. So I'm very happy with this bike. And I mean, it just seemed crazy to me to go out and spend upwards of $1,600-$1,800 by the time you get done with taxes and buy a new entry-level bike that essentially is not much better than what I have.